Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a journey into a concept that's, well, truly ancient, profoundly insightful, and I think you'll find absolutely captivating. We're talking about conjunction. It's an idea that has echoed through spiritual and philosophical traditions for millennia, offering a really powerful blueprint for understanding ourselves and the world around us. Our deep dive today draws from some incredibly rich sources, exploring both alchemical and Masonic traditions. Our mission really is to unpack how these seemingly disparate worlds converge on this singular, powerful idea of true integration and balance. We're talking about the merging of what was once separate and what that truly means for deep personal transformation.
And what's particularly fascinating here, I think, is that we'll be looking at how this idea of conjunction isn't merely symbolic, some abstract philosophical notion. Across these traditions, it's presented as a very practical blueprint for profound personal and spiritual transformation. It offers you a kind of shortcut, maybe, to understanding wholeness and perhaps even how to achieve it in your own life.
Okay, so let's unpack this blueprint. Let's start with the alchemical heart of conjunction. Our sources tell us it's the first major synthesis in the magnum opus, that great work of alchemical transformation, often called the alchemical marriage. So when we talk about this sacred merging of what was previously divided, what are we truly getting at? It sounds incredibly potent.
It truly is, yeah. At its core, conjunction is about bringing together seemingly opposite forces, things we often see as separate or even, in conflict, and harmonizing them, bringing them into a single integrated whole. Think of spirit and body, conscious and unconscious.
Masculine and feminine, sun and moon, those classic pairs.
Exactly. The entire purpose is to unify these polarities. And the result of this process in esoteric thought is often called the divine child, which symbolizes a new potential for rebirth, creativity, and, well, a profound sense of inner wholeness.
That's a powerful metaphor, really is, for inner reconciliation. But if we consider its more literal meaning, in the alchemical laboratory, what would that actually look like? I'm picturing bubbling flasks and chemical reactions, maybe, but it clearly extends far beyond just that.
Oh, indeed, yeah. In the lab, conjunction refers to the deliberate combining of purified elements into a new compound or solution. And these aren't just any elements. They've already undergone previous operations like calcination, dissolution, separation. These are processes designed to purify and refine the raw material down to its essential nature. So once refined, they're ready to be reunited in a balanced whole. The classic image for this is the alchemical wedding between the Red King, representing sulfur, the active masculine principle, and the White Queen, which is Mercury, representing the passive feminine principle.
Right, the king and queen.
Their union doesn't just create a mix, it gives birth to something new. A new being, you could say. A spiritual embryo, or that divine child, perfectly balanced. So for us, it's about taking the purified essences of ourselves, our raw experiences, our insights, and consciously bringing them into a harmonious new state.
That's a beautiful image of integration. And I know Carl Jung, the psychologist, he delved deeply into these alchemical processes, didn't he? How did he interpret conjunction from a psychological perspective?
Well, Jung saw conjunction as the psychological process of integrating the conscious ego with the vast, often unseen, unconscious archetypes within us, the deep stuff. And this process ultimately results in what he called the self, which is the totality of the psyche, your complete, authentic being. He noted that this union is often preceded by a period of internal conflict, psychic struggle. But when it's achieved, it produces a deep sense of inner peace, individuation. And what's crucial to understand, I think, is that this union isn't a compromise between opposites, where each side sort of gives something up. Instead, it produces a third thing, a transcendent product, something wholly new that transcends and includes its origins.
So not just A plus B equals AB, but A plus B equals C.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates the Hermetic solve et coagula principle, dissolve and coagulate, break down, then recombine into a new, higher spiritual form. So for you, this means true personal integration isn't about ignoring or suppressing parts of yourself. It's about forging a wholly new, more authentic version of yourself, a powerful shift from mere coexistence to genuine transcendence.
And that notion of a transcendent product, that really elevates this, doesn't it? From just combination to, like you said, profound transformation. It echoes that divine child we mentioned, makes perfect sense. And it makes sense that these ancient truths pop up in other esoteric systems too. So let's explore how another rich tradition, Freemasonry, illuminates this very same idea. We see so much dualistic symbolism there. Light and darkness, the square and compass, Jachin and Boaz. What does this all mean when we look at Masonic teachings through this lens of conjunction?
Well, in Freemasonry, these dualities are never meant to remain opposed. That's key. They are fundamentally designed for reconciliation. They are part of a broader Masonic process of unifying spirit and matter, intellect and intuition, even labor and rest. It's all about finding that central point of dynamic balance within oneself and, in the world.
And perhaps the most visible emblem of this, well, it has to be the two grand pillars, right? Jungian, establishment, and Boaz, strength. They guard the entrance of King Solomon's temple, appear prominently in the Fellowcraft degree. And here's where the symbolism gets really profound, representing the active and passive poles of existence.
Absolutely. The initiate has to metaphorically pass between these pillars, and ultimately the goal is to balance these active and passive forces within himself. Albert Pike wrote about this quite eloquently. He said, "These pillars correspond to the two creative forces, the male and female principles, that are everywhere manifest in the visible world." So the teaching is clear. These aren't opposites to be favored or feared, but fundamental forces. Forces to be understood and reconciled through spiritual labor. The true Mason, as the saying goes, does not dwell on one side of the porch. He walks between the pillars, embodying that active, conscious balance.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder for you that your own growth isn't about choosing one extreme over another, but consciously walking that path of equilibrium, integrating all aspects of your being.
That imagery, walking between the pillars, it is so powerful, symbolizing a dynamic, ongoing balance. And thinking of other iconic Masonic symbols, the square and compasses immediately come to mind as well. How do they tie into this idea of conjunction?
The square and compasses, they're a beautiful sort of everyday example of this union of opposites. The square represents the earthly, the fixed aspects of existence, our physical being, our moral conduct, our foundation here on earth.
The practical side.
Right. The compasses, on the other hand, signify the celestial, the dynamic, our spiritual aspirations, our intellect, our capacity to expand beyond the mundane. And when they are joined properly, often with the letter G at their intersection, well, they form the sacred geometry of wholeness. They symbolize the conjunction of heaven and earth, or more personally, the union of our human self and our spiritual essence, all within one individual. And moving further into Masonic symbolism, you can also see the symbolic middle chamber in the Fellowcraft degree as a profound space of conjunction.
The middle chamber, okay.
It's not just a physical destination or, a place where one gets paid wages symbolically. It's presented as a symbolic inner sanctum. This is where our intellect, ethics, and spiritual intuition are meant to really come together. So to arrive there signifies a preparedness for integration, a union of learned knowledge from experience and abstract wisdom.
And what about the letter G, often suspended above the middle chamber? Its traditional meanings are usually given as geometry or God. But our sources hint at something deeper in this specific context. What's that about?
Indeed. Yeah, beyond geometry or God, the letter G in this context profoundly signifies gnosis.
Gnosis, sacred knowing.
Exactly. This isn't just intellectual knowledge, book learning, or abstract faith.
Yeah.
It's a sacred knowing, an intuitive understanding that emerges precisely when these dualities, these internal opposites, are reconciled within the self. This is the gnosis born directly from the living experiential process of conjunction itself.
Okay.
It means discovering truth not just through study, but through an internal integration that elevates your understanding to a whole new level. The middle chamber ritual itself challenges the Mason to balance his faculties, engaging both mind and heart, physical labor, and quiet reflection. The 7 liberal arts, which we often think of as purely academic, they get transformed within this chamber. They become spiritual forces that, when harmonized, lead to an inner synthesis. So in this way, the middle chamber transcends being just a physical location. It becomes an internal temple, built not of stone, but of balanced consciousness.
This sounds very much like what many mystical traditions call hieros gamos, the sacred marriage. I know that concept appears in Hermeticism, Gnosticism, Tantra, Kabbalah. It's essentially the union of soul and spirit, isn't it?
Precisely, yes.
Yeah.
In all these mystical contexts, the hieros gamos represents that inner marriage of soul and spirit, leading to an elevated state of consciousness. If we look at the Kabbalistic tree of life, for instance, that profound diagram of creation and the soul's journey, well, conjunction can be mapped onto the middle pillar.
Path of balance.
Exactly. This is where the balancing forces of severity, known as Gevura, representing judgment, discipline, and mercy, or Cheesed, representing love, expansion, are unified through Tiferet. And Tiferet is the central sphere of beauty and harmony, often symbolized by the heart or the Christ center. It's there that the fragment itself becomes truly whole and radiant. It's like a roadmap for bringing your internal world into perfect equilibrium.
And it seems Freemasonry indirectly echoes this, even if it doesn't use the exact same term, hieroskamos. The instruction to square his actions, circumscribe his passions, and balance his behavior. I mean, that sounds very much like a clear blueprint for psychological and spiritual integration in everyday life.
It absolutely does, yeah. The moral and spiritual architecture taught within the lodge isn't just a code of conduct. It's a profound blueprint for achieving that inner unification. It prepares the individual for the work of conjunction. And Jung's insight here is just so profound. Again, the confrontation of the two psychic opposites is a great event. It is the beginning of the individuation process, which aims at a synthesis of the ego and the unconscious.
Right, that synthesis.
This synthesis produces a new center of consciousness, the self, which isn't limited by the narrow confines of the ego, but encompasses the entirety of who you are. This alchemical marriage truly is a spiritual rebirth. The two become one, and from their union emerges a higher state of awareness. The Mason who undertakes this work, well, they become more than a craftsman. They become a temple, built by the sacred union of all aspects of themselves.
That's a powerful vision. And it's not just in the teachings. We see this symbolism visually everywhere too, don't we? Tracing boards, alchemical illustrations. They depict conjunction as a bridal chamber, or twin figures, or the six-pointed star, the hexagram. That hexagram with its two interlocking triangles, one pointing up, one down, it really captures that idea of as above, so below, as within, so without, doesn't it? It's the union of fire and water.
It's the perfect visual representation, yeah. It appears on many Masonic charts, and it's deeply rooted in Hermetic thought, symbolizing the merging of opposites in perfect harmony. And in some Masonic rites, even the candidate's posture, standing between the pillars or between lines of brethren, visually subtilizes the same sacred balance.
No, like they become the center point?
Exactly. They become the axis mundi, the balancing point between extremes, the living embodiment of conjunction. The entire ritual structure is built to embody this profound union, just as the Temple of Solomon was built according to divine proportion and harmony.
So far, we've explored the profound inner meaning of conjunction through these traditions.
Yeah.
But this isn't just an abstract idea confined to ancient texts and symbols, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, how does this deep concept translate into the tangible world around us, into our daily lives?
That's a great question. On a communal level, conjunction teaches the importance of Masonic harmony. And this isn't uniformity, right, where everyone thinks or believes the same thing. It's synthesis. It's about brethren from diverse backgrounds, beliefs, cultures, gathering in the lodge, not to erase difference, but to find a higher unity within that diversity, a climate purpose.
Finding unity in diversity.
Precisely. The lodge becomes a kind of crucible of conjunction, where apparent opposites meet in fraternity and shared endeavor. And individually, it encourages you to actively seek balance in all aspects of life, in your relationships, your thoughts, your actions, your spiritual practice. It calls you to become a reconciler of conflicts, a builder of harmony. Basically, a living reflection of the unified temple you are consciously constructing within yourself.
Conjunction, then. It's truly a holy event, you could say, a merging of what was once separate into a greater whole. It's the healing of the fragmented self, not by erasing opposites, but by uniting them, leading to a profound rebirth within. It's really about embracing all of who you are and bringing it into radiant balance.
And Freemasonry, as we've explored, it encodes this profound mystery in pretty much every aspect of its symbolism. The pillars, the squaring compasses, the letter G, the ritual ascent, they all whisper of a hidden unity waiting to be unveiled. And the true initiate is not, he who merely memorizes the ritual, but he who enacts its sacred pattern within his own soul.
So as you go about your week, maybe consider in your own life, how might you better unite your intellect and emotion, your reason and intuition, and perhaps even reflect on the ways you've already experienced balance and integration between opposing aspects of yourself, bringing them into a more complete picture of who you are.
And remember, this journey of conjunction is just one pivotal stage in the larger magnum opus. Next time, we'll delve into the stage of fermentation, where we explore the mystical result of this union, the death of the old self and the birth of the spiritual essence. But for now, we encourage you to dwell in that sacred space of conjunction, where the opposites are joined and the light truly begins to stir within the depths.